Twitter. Make it plain. We're live now. Joining us, speaking of Arizona, one who is running for Congress, special election coming up in a couple of weeks, in a few weeks rather, in the Arizona 8th, another district, special election district we're looking to flip. Joining us now, the Democratic candidate in that race, Dr. Hiral Tipirneni. Doctor, how are you? Am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Yes, you're saying it perfectly. Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Wonderful. Thank you for joining us, and I'm glad to hear I'm saying it perfectly. How are you this morning? It's early in the you in Arizona. It's early in the morning out there.
It is. It's a bit early, but we're happy to have the opportunity to speak about the campaign and the race. So thanks for the chance. And where are you guys based out of? I mean, you're somewhere on the East Coast, right?
Yeah, we're in New York City. We're in New York City, as a matter of fact. Yeah, we sure are. You're a physician.
I am, yes. So my background is emergency medicine. I was an ER doctor for 10 years here throughout Phoenix, both in the downtown and the community setting. And for the last 8 years, I've actually been in this area of cancer research advocacy, basically bringing cancer research organizations together with the researchers that are doing the work to make sure the science is sound and the funding is facilitated so the work gets done and we actually make progress in the area of these important diseases.
Dr. Tipirneni, we just hung up with a regular listener who's a physician, Manny in Connecticut, and he was on the phone with us on his way to work talking about some of the politics of the day. And I said to Manny, Manny, you're a doctor. How do you have time to keep up with all this stuff? I'm almost tempted to ask you to say, you doctors are doing less doctoring and more politics. So are you still able to practice while you run, or have you taken a leave?
Yeah, no, I've taken a total leave of my other work because campaigning for a federal office is really a full-time job. And
it is.
And I'm in this to, give it everything I have to be successful. So I have taken a leave currently.
Now, but in terms of the issue of healthcare, and I know you said you're involved in cancer research, do those issues, healthcare and specifically cancer research and your advocacy for it, do those issues play prominently in the Arizona 8th race?
Well, healthcare certainly does, absolutely. People are struggling to make sure that they can afford quality healthcare and that they can keep their families healthy and safe. So it absolutely is an important issue. And I've been in this campaign. I launched last July. Actually, I've been in the race prior to when it became a special election, and from knocking on doors and talking to people throughout that time, I can tell you that healthcare, affordability, access, coverage, all those things are very prominent in the minds of folks throughout my district, absolutely. And I have a large percentage of constituents that are retired elderly folks. So, they're very dependent on their Medicare and Medicaid as well, which, pays for like nursing home stays and rehabilitation center stays and things like that. So, it is a issue that is at the forefront of a lot of voters' minds. Absolutely.
So, tell us a bit about the Arizona 8th. This was the Trent Franks district. He resigned. Trump did win the 8th by 21 points in 2016, but you feel poised and confident that you're able to pull off the upset.
I do. I feel very heartened. I feel very optimistic and excited about what will come on April 24th. I think there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic. This is not a typical election cycle by any means, as I know you know very well. We see what has happened all across the country in other special elections. Clearly we have the enthusiasm on our side. I mean, our base is incredibly energized and the momentum is there, and we are mobilized. People are out there, in numbers that they have not been out there before, knocking on doors, making phone calls for us, writing postcards. This is a district that hasn't had a choice in many cycles. Trent Franks essentially ran unopposed, and they actually have a choice now, and they have somebody who's running who's ready to fight on their behalf. And people are coming out of every nook and cranny of this district saying, we are excited. We have somebody that we want to support that talks about the issues that are important to our family. And, there's no reason that Arizona can't be next in that wave or that sweep of what's happening across the rest of the country.
And how's the fundraising going for you? You're competitive in that regard, too?
Yeah, we look. Initially, it was probably a little difficult, to convince folks to invest in a race, like you said, that Trump won by 21 points. But even prior to it becoming a special election, we managed to raise more than actually anybody expected us to, and we were plugging right along. Now, after it became a special election, obviously, the terms of the race changed, and there was definitely reason to be a little bit more excited about the possibilities. And, it still seems like for a lot of folks a big challenge, no doubt, but I think it's a challenge that we can overcome. And we have been doing very well since then because people are seeing the momentum. They are seeing the traction we're gaining. And as you probably heard, in the last few days, the Republicans have actually dumped in a lot of money in this race. And it's because, I think they're genuinely worried that there's a chance they're going to lose this seat. And this, like you said, this is a seat that Trump won, or a district that Trump won by 21 points. Our initial polling had us already make progress on that because we were only down by 14.
Right.
And, we're doing another poll soon, or we expect another poll to be done soon. And I think we're going to see that gap narrowing significantly because we're feeling the energy in the district. We see, folks coming over to our campaign who are independents, who are disaffected and frustrated Republicans. Lots of women who, just are ready for real representation. So we're very excited. And, the Republicans, they put in over almost $500,000. So they are clearly scared, and I believe they have reason to be.
I was just reading a report. Dr. Hiral Tipirneni, folks, Democratic nominee in the Arizona 8th. I was just reading an article in the Hill about how they tried to use the same strategy, or were trying to use the same strategy against you that didn't work against Connor Lamb. That is, one, to tout the tax plan. That's not going so well. And also to tie you to Nancy Pelosi, too. They did that with Connor Lamb, and that didn't work either.
Yeah, they're sort of trying that same playbook of painting every Democrat as the same sort of cookie-cutter left, far left liberal. And look, I've lived in this district for 21 years. I've been in the Valley here for, over 2 decades. And I know this district. I've all 3 of our children were born and raised here. They've gone through public schools here. I've been talking to people. I know the issues that are on people's minds. And, I'm a moderate. And the plans I've been proposing to address these issues that folks are dealing with regarding health care, regarding public education and the state of public education in our state and in our district, retirement security, economic opportunity. These are all things that we have a lot of common ground in, and there is nothing far left and extreme about my views. I have very pragmatic solutions that folks are realizing are really a path forward to making some progress. And I think my opponent can paint that narrative, but I believe the voters are smarter than that, and they're reading about the issues. They're coming to hear me speak. We're talking, at the door, and they know that these are practical solutions that are not really a Democratic idea or a Republican idea. These are really practical, implementable solutions that are going to make a positive impact in their lives.
Just reading a bit of your bio, too. You came here as a child. You overcame, speaking of health and your commitment to health care and you being a physician, it says you overcame a childhood illness yourself?
I did. I had when I was about 9, I had typhoid fever, and I was very ill. I was in the hospital for 2 weeks, and it was after actually a trip to back to India, which we had gone back to visit some family there. And in that time, I just seeing my parents so terrified and seeing the comfort and reassurance that the capable physicians were able to bring, and obviously for me being scared as a child, and then coming out of it essentially unscathed after recovering, you realize the power of medicine, of doctors, of good care, and that definitely put that seed of medicine in my brain, and as something that I'd like to do to be able to help people in that same way.
Really great animated healthcare video, folks. I'm showing it right now on our social media, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Make it plain. That's really cool. I like that video.
Oh, great. Well, I'm so glad that you had a chance to see it. I was really excited to put out more details about my healthcare plan because it's something that I'd been working on for a while, and this is just what I want folks to know is that look, there are solutions for these problems. Right now there are people in D.C. that are playing a lot of partisan politics, but I have real ideas and solutions for how we get to places like universal coverage, which means everybody actually has quality, affordable health care. And I know we can get there, and I was excited to put out the video because, sometimes just seeing it resonates better with rather than having to read a bunch of text for people. But it's a doable plan, and I'm really excited to get it out there and get people talking about it and realize that we have a path forward. We can achieve these goals, and I'm ready to get to work.
Now, what are some of the other issues, Dr. Hiral, when it comes to the Arizona 8th? What are some of the other issues that people in that district are passionate and concerned about?
Well, they're concerned about public education. That is a really
Mm-hmm.
big deal because, as you know, Arizona struggles in our public school system as far as we are near the bottom for what we pay our teachers and how much we spend per student. And our students are struggling, and we have to be able to compete. Our teachers deserve better pay. They need to be paid what they're worth. They work very hard and doing an important job for our children. And, we've had this movement lately. I don't know if you've heard about it, the Red for Ed movement. And it's basically, a movement to support our teachers because public education funding has been slashed in this state over and over through budget after budget. And, basically folks are saying enough is enough. We're ready. We need to be able to give our kids that great first start in life. Every child deserves a solid education, regardless of their zip code or their parents' salary or where they live.
Right.
And we want our teachers to be compensated appropriately so they can do the best job they can for our kids. And so that's something that's real prominent. And if you know anything about my opponent, she actually spearheaded the movement for the voucher program, which is sort of the brainchild of our current Secretary of Education, Betsy DeVos.
Mm-hmm.
And that will directly harm our state and the condition of public schools, because that is literally taking money right out of our public school system and putting it into private and charter schools. And that is harming our children, where the vast majority of our kids go to public schools. So that is something I am fiercely passionate about fighting on behalf of the teachers and the students.
Is
So
opposition
that is
of
prominent.
is approaching half past hour, folks? I just want to get a quick question. Is on that issue itself? Is opposition to vouchers bipartisan in the Arizona 8th?
Yeah, that's a great question. Actually, so there was a large movement called Save Our Schools after my opponent, who is Debbie Lesko. She was the person who spearheaded that attempt to expand that voucher program. And so the parents spoke up all over the valley, and that was a bipartisan effort. Those were not Republican parents only or Democratic parents only. They were parents that crossed all partisan lines and socioeconomic lines, essentially, that said, we want to keep the money in the public schools. That's where it needs to be. We are against this expansion program that takes money right out of our public school students' pockets and futures. And that was 100,000 folks who signed that petition, and thanks to them, we now have this ballot initiative that will be on the ballot in November to fight Ms. Lesko's plan. And, Ms. Lesko has basically made a reputation for herself as essentially being the Betsy DeVos of Arizona. She has made this idea of vouchers and privatization of our public school system really one of her pet projects.
Yeah, yeah. Is Trump getting involved in this race? Has he endorsed Debbie Lesko, or is he threatening to come out there to campaign for her? I'm sure you love that.
I like how you said threatening to come out there. I know that he did call her to congratulate her after her primary victory because she posted very proudly of that on her social media. And look, I don't know who's going to come out and speak for her or on her behalf. But, I think clearly there are pockets within our district where he is still fairly popular, but overall his popularity has come down. And, whoever comes out to speak for her, I don't think it's going to change the fact that she's still going to have to account for her previous legislative action. She still has to account for her future plans to voters. She plans on slashing Medicare and Social Security. You know how important that is to retirees.
Right.
And she's made it clear after that she would have supported that horrendous tax bill that the GOP passed, that tax cut bill, I should say, back in December. And we know Speaker Ryan's plan to now slash Medicare and Social Security in an attempt to pay off this huge deficit they've created. And she has shown that she is in lockstep with that plan. She is ready to do that.
Right.
And that is directly harming our constituents. So, I'm more than happy to talk and have her talk about those issues. And no matter who comes to represent her, that's not going to change the fact that she will not be right for the 8th District.
Right. But his negatives and disapprovals are high enough. That might help you if he came out there, right? I mean, if people are looking at him side-eyed in Arizona 8th, that might actually help. Who was the candidate we were talking to the other day saying that they hope he comes out there to campaign for his opponent? I forget who told us that the other day, but it probably wouldn't hurt you. I think it'd help you.
Well, let's just say that he clearly hasn't had the Midas touch in previous elections that he stepped into. So,
right.
Whatever strategy they're up to. But what's great to know is clearly they know that this is a seat that is in danger of being flipped.
Yeah.
They've made that clear in their large investment of $500,000 into this race that they really should have been able to win with their eyes closed and their hands tied behind their back. And now they're pouring money in because they know that they have a weak candidate who's, ethically challenged. She, is fighting on behalf of the corporate lobbyists and her special interest groups instead of the voters. And they know that they have a real chance of losing the race to somebody who's ready to fight on behalf of the families all around the district. So, I'm excited to see what happens over these next several weeks. As you probably know, the ballots were mailed out yesterday, so early voting has begun or will begin as soon as ballots are in hand. And so now it's just really a race for the numbers to make sure we reach as many voters as we possibly can and make sure they know about all the critical issues that are at stake and where the two candidates stand.
And April 24th, folks, everyone who lives in Arizona, call them, see if they know someone in the 8th. Ask them to vote for Dr. Hiral Tipirneni, our very special guest. You need some money?
You know what? I could definitely use any financial support anyone's willing to make. Like I said, we're going up against now $500,000 investment by the Republican national folks. So, we're trying to stay right there neck and neck and compete. And resources are important to make sure we can keep getting the message out, keep getting our volunteers out there to knock on doors and, make those phone calls, pay for our campaign office, and get those mailers out and just make sure we're getting the word out. So if anybody does want to contribute to our campaign, we would be very grateful, very appreciative. The website is hiralforcongress.com. That's HIRAL, the word for FOR, Congress.com. We welcome your support. You can make a contribution online. And if anybody wants to come out and knock on doors or make phone calls for us, we welcome that help as well. We can use all hands on deck and all boots on the ground. This is a real opportunity to flip a seat, and we would appreciate everybody's support.
Send some money, folks. HiralForCongress.com. Please, ma'am. Please, sir. HiralForCongress.com to support this fine candidate in the Arizona 8th. April 24th is around the corner, and we want to see to it that we can flip another. Why don't we? Pleasure to meet you. Congratulations. I'm sure your family's very, very proud of you. And we wish you all the best, and hope we can pull this one off, okay?
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak. It was a pleasure speaking with you and your listeners, and hopefully I'll be able to speak with you on the other side, and we'll have something to celebrate.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure we're going to go ahead and claim that victory, folks. Get out there and vote. Call people you know in Arizona. Everybody knows someone in Arizona, and then ask that person if they know someone in the 8th. And, folks, we need your contributions. Small dollar. We're Democrats. We love small dollar donations. If you can't give big ones, Hiral for Congress. Hiral, HiralForCongress.com. Have a great day, Hiral, okay?
Thank you so much. Again, it was wonderful speaking with you. Tthanks for the opportunity.
All right. Take care now. All right, folks.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. All right, 24 minutes before the hour. Sirius XM Progress 127. We'll take a break. We're going to act to end racism. Also during the King holiday, the King observance, I should say, remembrance of his martyrdom. Coming up next week in Washington, D.C. I'll be in Memphis, but something big taking place in D.C. Stay tuned to hear all about it. Sirius XM Progress 127, Resistance Radio. This is MIP.